imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
There is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present.
Kamala Harris is a bully who's pushed out or made life intolerable for virtually every person who's come to work for her in the White House. She's the Megyn Markle of the administration. People can't work for her.
Megyn Kelly just pulled it off again. That trademark moment where she steps right into the storm of political chaos, drops a truth bomb so sharp it leaves the room spinning, and walks away like she just outsmarted everyone in the building. This time, her target is none other than Kamala Harris. And let's just say, it's not exactly a highlight reel for the vice president. From the awkward chuckles to the verbal backflips, Megyn's got the wit, the receipts, and zero tolerance for nonsense. Buckle up, because this one's about to sting harder than one of Kamala's infamous word salads. And yes, it's every bit as chaotic as it sounds.
Kamala Harris, who decided to pop up this week at the Leading Women Defined, what a terrible name for a summit, the Leading Women Defined Summit in California, and had this to say, SOT 26.
Each day in these last few months in our country, and it understandably creates a great sense of...
Kamala Harris, dumb as ever.
I mean, she looked drunk to me.
She always
I don't want to I don't want to throw around any crazy charges here, but that's not...
Before we dive any deeper, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Kamala Harris was having one of those classic weeks again. The kind where even the teleprompter seems to sigh before she starts speaking. The crowd sat frozen, blinking in pure confusion, while her laugh echoed through the air like a haunted ringtone from 2019. And just when it seemed the awkwardness had reached its peak, Megyn Kelly walked right into the chaos, ready to turn the entire disaster into primetime entertainment.
Kamala Harris is having her moment in the sun. I heard you guys talking about this on your show. And she's in a great mood, and she actually has reason to be. Her books are selling fast, like wildfire. 350,000 copies sold so far, which is actually really good. I actually can't wait to see when she hits the New York Times bestseller list if she has the little asterisks next to her number, which not everybody knows means that you used bulk sales to get there.
Because let's be honest, someone had to finally say what everyone else was thinking. The Vice President of the United States has officially turned word salad into her full-time profession. And Megyn wasn't about to let it slide. She didn't just bring a shovel, she rolled in with a full excavator. Megyn's been watching Kamala's public appearances like a scientist observing a hamster trying to open a jar. Fascinated, bewildered, and secretly asking, is this really happening?
She can't do it. She cannot do it. She's desperately trying to be Oprah, and she can't be Oprah. And as it turns out, Oprah is kind of a psychopath. I'm going to do a piece on this at some point. Honestly, we were raised by wolves, those of us who watch that show religiously. I figured it out at 54. In any event, Kamala Harris is not even as good as the fake Oprah, never mind the real one. And I don't know, you guys. You seem to be very bullish on her newfound confidence and think that this sales number is going to encourage her to actually run again. I mean, I'll start with you on that, Andrew. Do you believe that?
Every time Kamala opens her mouth, somewhere an English teacher quietly weeps into a red pen. The moment Megyn Kelly stepped in, it was like someone flicked on the lights at the end of a bizarre party. The music cut off, the laughter froze, and there stood Kamala, clutching a metaphorical martini glass filled with tangled metaphors, half-baked thoughts, and motivational nonsense. It was the kind of moment that makes you wonder how anyone's still applauding, or if they even know why they are.
About how they vote.
Back to me. If we could just bring it back to me. I was the first here and the first there. I was the second there, but then I was the third, and then I was the first, and then I almost became the first this, but I was like, this is how leftists think. It's like, I would be humiliated. I really would. If I were Kamala Harris, I'd be like, look, there was a time in this country when that was at the forefront of people's minds. We're past that time. Look at my stellar resume. Thanks to this great country, I've achieved all... No, she can't do it. I was first, then second, then I was first again, then I was...
Megyn didn't hold back. She said what millions had been thinking, but were too polite to admit. This isn't wisdom, It's whiplash. Kamala has a rare gift. While most politicians try to connect through ideas, she connects through confusion. She begins a sentence like a rocket launch, but halfway through, the rocket panics, forgets its destination, and spins in circles. It's like watching a GPS argue with itself. Turn left. No, right. Actually, just laugh awkwardly until everyone forgets where we're going.
I mean, I love it. I want it, but why?
I think, well, all politicians operate inside a bubble, and in her bubble, this reinforces the view that she's still anointed, and she will go forward, and I think she will run again. I think the Washington Post, though, had a great. They said her book tour is even less compelling than her campaign. I think sort of describes it. It's been a shock to me. I will say this. I have not read the book. I've read the excerpts that were in the Atlantic, and I've read about it. And it does seem there's some juicy tidbits in the book, and maybe it's a better book than.
And Megyn, she wasn't letting this one slide. She's faced political brawls, fiery debates, and full-blown media wars. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare her for the linguistic circus Kamala calls communication. It's not that Kamala's words don't make sense. They just make the wrong kind of sense, like poetry written by a confused Roomba. Every time Kamala speaks, the internet braces for impact. Clips explode online, edits flood TikTok, and memes multiply like wildfire. Even Elon Musk probably sighs somewhere, realizing it's time to block another Kamala bot parody. Kamala's mastered the art of sounding deep while saying nothing at all. We must work together to work together, because working together works best when we work together. Megyn didn't even need to roll her eyes. She just sliced through the nonsense with sharp precision, turning the moment into a live comedy masterclass.
Here, as you know by this point, is how she handled it in her debate with a very polite, though appropriately interruptive, Mike Pence. I mean, it's a debate, so you're allowed here and there to say, I don't think so, or yo, that's not right. That's appropriate debate behavior, but not to Kamala Harris, who wants you to know when she's speaking.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
And the wildest part? Kamala doesn't even seem to notice. She steps up to the podium, flashes that confident smile, and launches into another speech that sounds like an AI desperately trying to sound human. Megyn compared her to a motivational speaker stuck in a feedback loop, always promising progress while explaining absolutely nothing. It's like Kamala learned politics from fortune cookies arguing with each other. The strangest thing, Megyn pointed out, is how the media keeps pretending it's genius. Every time Kamala says something incomprehensible, a panel of pundits nod like they've just heard Plato reincarnated. She's redefining leadership, they say, while Megyn just stares, wondering if anyone in the room still understands English. Megyn called it the Kamala paradox. The more she talks, the less sense she makes. Yet somehow, people keep listening, hoping one day it'll all click, but it never does.
I have to get back to Kamala because she went on The View this morning, and it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, like, leftists are going to leftist. Here is SOT 52.
A lot of people, I'm included, and President Biden also, think that a lot of it is about racism and sexism, and those are the reasons that you really lost, not because of the time thing. What do you say to that? Do you think this country will ever elect a woman president? In my lifetime, probably not.
I beg to differ. I believe that we will.
Then came the knockout moment. Megyn compared Kamala's leadership to a GPS that refuses to admit it's lost. Recalculating, it says sweetly, right before driving straight into a river. Kamala just smiles, waves, and insists everything's going perfectly. America just needs to believe harder. It's almost impressive how she's mastered the art of saying absolutely nothing with complete confidence. Her speeches feel like TED Talks written during a caffeine overdose. Polished, dramatic, but completely empty once you actually listen. Megyn exposed how the administration seems terrified to let her speak without supervision. Every appearance feels less like diplomacy and more like crisis management. The world watches politely confused as she explains root causes, sounding like a life coach who lost her way to therapy. And Megyn, with her signature sharpness, dropped the final punch. If anyone else spoke like this, would they still have a job?
I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I did not think she was an idiot. I now think she's a moron. She's not that smart. Forgive me. I'm still one of those people who gets wooed by titles. I'm like, she was the Attorney General of the state of California. How dumb could she be? Dumb. The answer is very, very dumb is the answer. And I've come to that conclusion just with my own eyes and ears from watching and listening to her. She cannot put two sentences together. I mean, the old man is actually losing his mental faculties.
And then Megyn went straight for the jugular. Kamala's infamous laugh. That unpredictable giggle that starts nervous and ends like a system reboot. It's become her trademark. Part coping mechanism, part escape hatch for runaway sentences. Megyn pointed out that no world leader should sound like they're laughing their way out of detention. That laugh has done the impossible. It's united both sides of the political aisle, not in agreement, but in sheer disbelief. Translators have probably quit mid-sentence trying to make sense of her press conferences. Megyn compared her delivery to modern art. Everyone insists it's profound, but all you see is chaos. Maybe, Megyn joked, there's simply nothing to get. Kamala's speeches are like jazz, confusing, offbeat, and somehow still ending with applause. Megyn even noted how her approval ratings are dropping faster than her recycled metaphors, turning every attempt to fix her image into another viral episode of What Did She Just Say?
Whenever she does speak, it's so cringy. That remark about what's next, I'm going to walk up these stairs, is so telling. She's so dumb. She's just not clever. And this is yet another example that's making the rounds today. It's a flashback from just April, not that long ago, when she was asked by Spectrum News what it would do to race relations if Trump repeals some of these DEI policies that she and Joe Biden have infiltrated the entire government with.
I think it's really important that we as Americans always embrace our history, the parts that we're proud of and the parts that...
Then Megyn tackled the 2024 elephant in the room. Kamala's rumored presidential ambitions. The thought of her leading the ticket, Megyn said, is like watching someone enter a spelling bee without knowing how the alphabet works. She couldn't help but imagine the campaign slogans: hope, progress, word salad. It practically writes itself. Kamala's speeches always sound like she's unveiling a great revelation, yet the only surprise is that she has no idea what she's saying. She uses pauses the way magicians use smoke to distract from the disappearing act. Still, Kamala radiates confidence, insisting everything's going perfectly, like someone bragging about finishing a race they never started. The irony, Megyn added, is that Kamala could have been likable. She's polished, intelligent, and charismatic. But somewhere between the photo ops and the slogans, she turned into a walking philosophy lecture nobody signed up for. Megyn closed that segment with one brutal truth. America doesn't need another motivational speaker. It needs someone who can actually finish a sentence that matters.
Person. And it concerns me because that's all we have in line on the Democratic side. And as Trump's numbers continue to go up and up and up, and I realize some of the polls are showing him beating Joe Biden now in a hypothetical matchup, he's still very vulnerable. He did not win in 2020, and it looks like it's going to be the same matchup. And honestly, Joe Biden's knocking on, the Grim Reaper's door, and she could be the president of the United States in the next 6 years by default, if things go, in a dark and upsetting way.
At this rate, Megyn warned, Kamala's legacy might just be making people nostalgic for silence. She pointed out something brutal. Kamala isn't underestimated. She's overestimated by people too scared to admit she's drowning in her own speeches. The longer everyone pretends her words make sense, the more it feels like the entire country's in on some bizarre group illusion. Every time Kamala trends online, the internet braces for another clip of pure confusion. And there's Megyn, calmly sipping her coffee, watching like it's a live sitcom. She's not mocking for sport. She's diagnosing a national problem built on nervous laughter and circular sentences. Megyn didn't need shouting or drama, just calm, sharp precision that stripped away Kamala's image faster than her approval ratings. While Kamala keeps smiling through her word mazes, Megyn stands as proof that not everyone's fooled. And while the media calls it depth, Megyn's already moved on, shaking her head, wondering how long the world can keep pretending the emperor's fully clothed.
Kamala Harris, let's face it, was a DEI hire as vice president and would have been a DEI hire had we voted her in as president. She was just in Australia, as an aside, this week because some real estate conference hired her to speak. She's represented by CAA here in America, one of the biggest agencies out there. And they're apparently having trouble finding jobs for her domestically because they had to ship her halfway around the world in order to get a paid gig. And I just want the audience to know, this is how she sounds. This is what they paid, I don't know how much for. She sounds just like Kamala Harris.
Meanwhile, Kamala continues her worldwide tour of confusion, waving, laughing, and explaining the meaning of the moment for what feels like the 100th time. Her team claps, the headlines spin, and somewhere, Megyn Kelly just smiles knowingly. Because once you've seen through the fog, you can't unsee it. One woman armed with logic, the other armed with slogans, clarity versus chaos, and it's not even a competition. Slowly, people start connecting the dots. Her endless speeches about possibilities sound less like leadership and more like a motivational podcast gone off the rails. You can almost imagine her staff scrambling behind the scenes, desperately trying to decode her sentences like translators in the United Nations of Confusion. Meanwhile, Megyn just watches with quiet amusement. No yelling, no anger, just that subtle, knowing smirk that says, "Here we go again."
Look, I am a woman. I have a daughter. I hate the fact that there's been no female presidents. I really do. I hate the fact that when you take out your little placemat, when your kids are learning the presidents, there's no female face on there, and then you have to explain why. It's effed up. I would love to see a female president, like a Margaret Thatcher type, somebody who's strong and serious and sober and respected. This ain't it. I am telling you, America is not going to elect this Nimrod as its first female president. I trust in them too much for that. They're not that dumb, and they're not that open.
She just smirks, because at this point, Kamala's predictability is almost comforting. You already know what's coming, an opening line that sounds profound, a dramatic pause, and a closing thought that says absolutely nothing. It's practically performance art now. Her rhythm has become her signature. Start strong, spiral into confusion, and seal it all with that unmistakable laugh that echoes like an alarm clock nobody set. The audience claps out of habit, and Kamala beams, blissfully unaware she's become her own punchline. Megyn doesn't need to exaggerate. The truth is entertaining enough. Every clip feels like a mix of energy and confusion, like she's explaining the obvious to invisible students. Megyn even joked that Kamala's perfected circular optimism, the rare ability to inspire no one while sounding like she's changing the world. It's a real talent, talking for 10 minutes and leaving everyone knowing less than before.
Kamala lost because of Kamala. That is the subject of today's show. You know, I really thought that someone on the left would write this. I've been saying this, the true story of how Kamala Harris lost the presidential race. I thought that they would be so angry with her for losing to Trump that they would be clamoring to write the in-depth piece on how she blew it, you know, like journalists. Silly me. I thought we'd get to read all the juicy details about how this well-known bully who lost 92% of her staff as vice president because no one could stand working for her.
But what really amazes Megyn, and honestly the rest of the world, is that Kamala seems proud of it all. She walks off stage like she's just delivered the speech of a lifetime, while her team applauds, the media nods, and the internet collectively gasps. Then Megyn Kelly lands the finishing blow. Maybe it's time to stop pretending this is brilliance and start admitting it's babble. The silence that follows says everything. Because deep down, everyone knows she's right. It's not sexist. It's not political. It's just painfully, hilariously true. In the end, Kamala Harris doesn't even need critics. Her toughest opponent is her own sentence structure. And Megyn Kelly? She just gave the world permission to laugh. And that's exactly what makes this moment unforgettable.